Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Navigating the Healing Path podcast with your hosts, Maggie and Nikki. We are so excited to be back again. I feel like this is a common thing that we talk about. I'm just full of excitement all the time because these are the things that light us up, and we love talking about this. So we are going to go deeper, a little actually, more outward. Actually, I would say, into the stars. And we're going to be talking about astrology. Yes. And we have the first guest of the season. Welcome, Olivia.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yes, this is always such a treat when we have people join us. And this season, we will be having more guests join us as we are connecting more outwards. And also as a way to connect within. So just so you know, Olivia, this season on the Navigating the Healing Path podcast, we are going deeper within and connecting with ourselves deeper within as we walk this healing journey. And oftentimes, in order to go within, you connect outside of yourself. Whether it's spirit or oracle cards or astrology or community and martial arts, like it's just sort of what brings you into connection with you. And so we thought this would be a really fun experience to talk a bit about astrology.
Yeah. And this season too is also a lot about kind of normalizing more of, and we don't say this derogatorily, but more woo-woo aspects of the awareness and inner healing journey. So just talking about more modalities and methods and fun tools of divination to increase our connection within, like Nikki said.
Yeah.
So
amazing.
That's the vibe.
Excited.
So that's what we have in store for you guys. So stick around. Love it. Excellent. So again, but before we get started, this is something that we always do because it helps us ground and connect. So we always breathe. So we're going to invite everybody to breathe with us. So allowing your breath to expand and fill your lungs. And again, breathing in, dropping into the moment, into your body, into the heart center. And feeling yourself relax. We love breathing here.
I know, we just get
We're
lost
really
in the
into breathing.
Yeah.
Like it just, oh man, it's just so good at just dropping in.
Yeah.
And just clearing yourself out. So thank you for breathing with us.
Of course.
So first, Olivia, before we get into astrology, would you please tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Okay. Well, my name's Olivia Martinez. I'm a creative content marketer. I've been in the field for about 15 years. And at the same time, while doing that, I've also been on my own healing journey to really find out what I care about, who I am, what I'm meant to do in this world, how I can help people, how I can create deeper connections with my daughter, with the relationships I have in my life. So I started really in meditation and then found my way through to astrology. And then now I'm lucky enough to have had my worlds merge, that both the marketing and the astrology has come together, and I'm helping run 2 newsletters, astrology newsletters, as well as an astrology blog for astrology software. So it's all come together.
That sounds pretty magical.
Yeah. No, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's exciting to see happen. It is funny how you don't realize it's happening till it's happened. And then it's like, wow, this is cool. But yeah, in that journey, I do think it was helpful for me to start with meditation, because I think the hardest thing about astrology can be that we use it to label ourselves instead of using it to allow us to feel like we like have endless potentials and possibilities. It can pigeonhole an individual instead of the opposite. But because I did learn meditation first, one thing that we would always talk about was like observing the mind and observing the fact that language itself is binary. So that we're always saying, I had a good day, I had a bad day, I'm happy, I'm sad, everything is in pairs, and that's how we talk and that's how we think. And that astrology really is a model that takes you beyond that dualistic thinking, but you have to be able to be really objective when you use it. Otherwise, it can so easily end up being the thing where you reduce who you are instead of, really like see that we all have endless possibilities. And it's just like, which ones do you want to breathe into? Which ones do you want to play with in life? So,
Yeah, I think that's beautifully put. And I see a lot in the mainstream right now of people not only reducing themselves in general, but also with astrology, but then using astrology to attack other people or like throw labels on to others instead of using it as this big, broad tool to introspect and to learn yourself more. So I love the way that you're taking this practice and like how you're using it. It seems like it's in a very integral and self-learning kind of fashion, which I love.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I was introduced through Share Astrology to transpersonal astrology. So it's a specific model that really is about that, like having you reflect on who you are and then what does that mean beyond, What does that mean for like how you can participate in the world in a bigger way, and to see how much we ripple affect each other in a real honest way. Transpersonal suggests that there's like the personal and that we all reach beyond that, which I know you're all about. I mean, I know that all of our models are essentially sharing that. But I do think in the model that I learned, it really wanted you to look directly at the fact, like they say, the map is not the territory. So the chart is the chart, and you can look at it. And one thing that I loved when I first started was we would come into groups and we would look at all these charts and you could see how like no charts were the same. So these are our unique lenses. We process the entire world through these very unique lenses, while at the same time we have the exact same building blocks as each other. So we all have the same signs, we all have the same planets. So there's similarities. We're going to be able to have a common language, but it doesn't mean we're the same. But I do feel like it could be a tool that gets used to genuinely try to understand the lens of the other instead of just staying like in our own world and seeing it always through our lens and just wanting sameness, but like appreciating the depth of the differences between us and others.
Okay, before we get into the questions, because I can already hear a bunch of questions coming through. First, I would love, Olivia, for you to let us know, what is astrology to you? Like, and how is it helpful? How can the normal layperson who has no experience begin to use this tool for self-reflection? And are there any pitfalls to avoid or anything to be aware of as you begin this exploration?
Yeah, I mean, I do think like the biggest pitfall is just using it as a tool for prediction. I'd say it's just not that. Like it can be, and I know different models feel differently about that. But I feel like you have to kind of understand what it is you're asking for, like what it is you're actually going to astrology for to begin with. Because too often it can be like, tell me what's going to happen, or tell me what, and then when we want to know what's going to happen, or we want to know how quickly something is going to end, we're probably not in the space where we're trying to understand, what am I supposed to learn? Like, what am I learning from this thing? So I do think that it could be a map that helps you understand what you're dealing with archetypally in the moment. It could be really validating to see like, okay, I've been feeling X, Y, and Z. And yeah, these placement of these planets right now and how they're affecting my chart are exactly showing that that is accurate and that I am trying to integrate all of these different things at once. So it can be really validating. But if we're trying to just get to like the tell me what's going to happen, then there might be a piece of the lesson that we're afraid to look at, or there's something that's a little bit harder to hold on to. So I think of it as actually a really brilliant tool for self-understanding, understanding others, and then understanding the way our environment flows. Like there's ebbs and flows in everything. Every moment is different from another moment. And I don't think we really appreciate that very well. Like it's not easy to stay aware of that through the day to day, that like, yeah, this moment is different from this moment is different from this moment. It's easy to feel like everything should be the same all the time. And we should be able to wake up and feel the same way we did yesterday. But the reality is it's not like that. There are all these underlying flows happening all at once. So I think it can be something that helps you relax into the moment and flow with what's happening now and not have expectations that are too high for yourself.
How would you describe astrology to somebody who doesn't know what it is? Like, what is astrology?
Well, back in the day, astronomers were astrologers. They were one thing. Some of our most respected people who helped build empires were astrologers. Science and astrology was one. And it was really observation of the stars and the patterns that we saw, around us. So it's as above, so below. So it's really a science of observation. People observing what's happening in the sky and what's happening here and creating correlations. And that's why we have to stay in that now, like our observations matter now. So it's not all about like looking to the past and saying, oh, what did other people define this as, but realizing that it is our observation that feeds that tool, like ongoing, and that, yeah, our observations do matter. Like if you have an experience with a certain transit, your experience is just as valid as someone who wrote it down 200 years ago. And so in a way, we're always defining what is astrology, but it is the idea of as above, so below, that there are correlations between the stars and between our lives.
And just to be clear, correlation is not causation. And I think that's where some people can get really stuck.
Right.
Is they're like, oh, that's not me at all. I'm not that. And so I've heard people talk about that, but it's also because I also think there's certain parts of you that maybe aren't activated.
Absolutely.
Or being expressed.
Exactly.
Or just mainstream horoscope sticking to one little tiny itty bitty facet of an entire astrological chart.
Which also has a lot of Barnum effect, which is generally is applicable to most people.
Right.
So there's been some tomfoolery.
Yeah, the capitalistic pull and tie to astrology, I think, has
kind of made it purposes.
Right. It's made it very reductive.
Yes. Yeah.
And kind of, I think, put a lot of people off to the actual introspective tool of astrology.
And the metaphysics of it.
And the metaphysics, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say like when you're getting started, you will get faced with the question of fate or free will. Like, is it fated? Is life fated? Or do we have free will?
Right.
It is a hard question. Like, I feel like that's an alive question for me all the time. Like, how much free will do I have in any given moment? And I think it's not different from what you'd learn in any spiritual model, that it's like you have the power to affect you and the way you react to the surroundings around you. And you have a power to choose paths, right? Like every moment there's all these probabilities and possibilities, but which will you choose? Like, and will fear like get in the way of a certain choice, or will you just go for it? Like that's where I believe your free will exists. I believe in free will for sure, and that you have it. It's just a matter of, how much is the question. I don't know. Because we were born, you could say, depending on what you believe, that if we chose this life, if we chose to be here at this time, in this, exact moment, that you also chose the chart that you're going to exist with. And so you chose to work with in a way, these parameters that were given to you, but there's endless possibilities in those parameters too. But you're probably going to be moved to work within them naturally because that's who you are. Like, that's what you're drawn to. So there is, it is that question. It is always like something to play with. I play with it in my mind constantly. Does anyone else have that thought about like fate and free will? Because
Oh, yeah.
it's very
For
real.
sure.
Yeah.
Constantly. I think that's a very common question, especially in the beginnings of a spiritual journey.
Yeah.
But yeah, and developing your own connection with spirit, source, the universe, whatever word you like to use. I think, yeah, for me, that's definitely an ongoing question of like, okay, how much control and not control, but the free will do I have, and how much is all divinely guided? And I
Yeah.
think playing around with that balance every day, and I don't know, it's very much like an ebb and flow,
Yeah.
but it is fun to play around with.
And then sometimes it's like, oh, I realize they're just like one and the same in a sense. It's like what I'm being guided to do and what I want to do for some reason are exactly the same thing.
True.
So it doesn't even matter, you know? It just seems to all come together. Anyway. Yeah. Did that answer your question?
I think so.
Okay.
Basically, it's stars and placements and planets, and taking that placement energetically and how it affected our personality,
Yeah.
characteristics, some strengths and challenges, things that we came in here to experience and grow through.
Yes.
But then also feeling the mastery on the other side in certain ways. I'm thinking of North Node, South Node
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
Well, and when astrology first started, it really was like the king would have an astrologer, and they would do horary astrology. So it's like the minute you ask a question, the astrologer would cast a chart for the question. And that question normally was about like an entire kingdom or an entire, town and how it was going to affect them. So it really took the evolution of astrology before it started to become about the person. And in a sense, life is like that. Like things were more collective. We had like the ruler, and then the fate of the town kind of was the fate of the people. And it didn't matter as much what that individual wanted to do with their lives and find themselves. And it's only through the evolution of humanity has the individual started to matter in the way that it does now. And I think it's incredibly important. And that all of these healing models, I think, are trying to bring us to that, where we see that, like our truest nature matters. It's not about conforming, but it is about finding that deepest nature.
The image that comes to mind as you were sharing that is the town is the blanket.
Mm-hmm.
And then the individuals are the threads.
Yes.
And you can use astrology for the whole town,
Yes.
or you can use it for the individual. They're both one and the same. They're all connected. It's
They are.
oneness.
Yeah.
But it's like, how does that thread want to lay down?
Yeah.
Maybe it got all agitated and it got, like flicked up, and it's like popping out a little bit, standing up, and I don't know. It was just a fun little image that was just coming through.
Nice.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Exactly.
So at the times when kings were using this for the empire, I guess, was astrology being used more for those kind of predictive
I would say so,
situations?
Yes. I'd say so, yes. And plenty of people still love that form of astrology.
For sure.
It's very popular. Yeah.
I saw a whole bunch of stuff when the election was happening.
Oh, yeah.
out here in the US. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many different models, and from all over the world too. So there's different models. I just happened to learn transpersonal astrology, but
Is that
I think
a form of Western astrology?
it is a form of Western astrology.
Okay.
It was really started with an astrologer named Dane Rudyard, and then intersected even with Carl Jung. Carl Jung, he believed in astrology, and in his final books, in a couple of his final books, he did share his belief in it and how important he thought it was.
Nice. They didn't teach me that in psychology.
Me neither. And I love Jung.
Yeah, no, he has a couple books in there. Synchronicity, I think one is called Synchronicity, and then there's another one it's not coming to me, but I could follow up later.
Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, there are really so many different types of astrology out there.
Yeah.
I really only know like very simple, basic Western astrology. But I have been very curious about Vedic astrology, Eastern
Yeah.
astrology.
Chinese astrology.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That too. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many different types and
Yeah.
systems, I guess,
Absolutely.
is what the term
yeah.
is.
Or models. Yeah.
Models. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Systems. But for me, for my nature, I think it makes sense that this is what I learned, because I do feel like for me it was about self-discovery and then greater understanding with others. And so it just fits.
So after you've opened yourself in meditation
Yes.
to new possibilities
Yes.
and getting to know yourself, you find yourself learning about astrology. What was the beginning like for you? What were some insights that it offered you into who you are or how you are configured energetically?
I love your questions.
Thank you.
Well, one major thing about my chart is I have what they call a bundle chart. So everything is kind of clustered.
Oh,
And
like there's like bowls and there's
Yeah.
baskets and there's like the different shapes of the chart.
Yeah, there's different
Whoa.
shapes of the chart. So it's actually interesting, like when you start to learn, that's one of the first things you can just look at a glance. Like some will have a scatter chart, and the scatter chart normally means like a person is really talented in like a whole bunch of areas, and that they're able to like keep a lot of balls in the air and just like be very versatile. So you can just like see that at a glance, you know. And then yeah, if it's a bundle chart or a bowl or other chart configurations, they give you like some have a fan where there's like one planet on one side and then everything else is clustered above. So it's like the handle of the fan. But you can learn a lot just from looking at that. For me, I have Saturn and Jupiter at the conjunct, so they're together at the top of the bundle, like leading the bundle.
What does the bundle mean?
The bundle is just a chart configuration. I know it's
Right.
hard. It's hard to
Like they're all
talk about.
clustered in the same area.
So all of your main planetary placements are all close in the...
Collective, yeah. They all
Okay.
look together.
Okay.
They all look together. Not like they're at the upper half, but I guess it explained to me why I do feel focused. I do feel like I want to achieve something, and how I can be very Saturnian about it. Like I can be very, which Saturn is, you know, about accountability, responsibility, like, and then Jupiter is like all the hopes and dreams, all the luck, everything big, and they're together, right? So I can sometimes feel
Nice.
like, yeah, everything is amazing, and you know, I can do anything, and then it's like, like you gotta get back down to earth. You gotta, how are you supposed to do all that? You need to do it one at a time, step by step. So there is this like interplay in me that is literally visible, like in a very easy to look at way. And that was one of the first things that jumped out. So, but since then, I mean, there's so much subtlety. There's so many subtleties to it. I think that's one major one. And that is pretty loud in my life. Like, I do feel like that interplay is pretty noticeable. You probably see it in me all the time.
Well, as I'm feeling into what you're saying, and you're talking about having a clustered chart, it makes me feel like actually this makes sense, because you are very focused, and you have a really high work ethic, and you get a lot of value out of the work that you do as a giver and somebody of service. So I can see how that would be really beneficial for a lifetime to like decide, no, I want to focus on this thing.
Yes.
Instead of spreading yourself out and doing this and then doing that and all over the place, you feel very intentional on, I'm going to grow this.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I mean, that, and then I guess I just didn't know that about myself, so I didn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you have it shown to you and explained to you, it actually just makes a lot of sense. And even why it sometimes feels like I can be in touch with so many cool ideas, and then I could have been negative about, but then I let them wither away. And it's like, no, you don't let them wither away. You try to ground what you can, you know, you try to manifest what you can, when you can, and then the rest will, we'll save it for later. Do
Yeah.
it one at a time because we're human, right?
Yeah.
We have to. But yeah, where I could have been negative about that, I feel like astrology helps me see it in a more objective way.
What are your Saturn and Jupiter planets? What signs are those in? Out of curiosity.
Libra.
They're both in Libra?
Both in Libra.
Are those
Okay.
the scales?
Yes.
That's hilarious.
It really is. A little bit of what I know about you, I'm like, this makes sense to me.
Like that back and forth.
The
trying
balance.
Yeah,
Yep.
finding the
Yeah,
balance
and
between
like
the
really into fairness, like really into, and wants to make other comfortable, like really wants to everyone to have as equal an experience as possible. I feel like that. And it can go south. I don't want to, like every sign has like its beauty and then its challenges. And then
This is life.
that is life.
Right?
And then but it does help you if you can see both sides, then you can like see the whole game and think, oh, okay. Like that's just
It's also really good to see the challenges and not beat yourself up with it or be like, look, I'm a crappy person. I have such struggle with that. Okay, you have struggle. It could just use a little support. Or if you know this thing, if you know this thing about you, you can take action to help yourself deal with it or manage it.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's good to have that insight and be gentle and compassionate with yourself as you grow it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because it's not set in stone, right? Like that's what I think some people think is that if they don't see this or they don't resonate with these descriptions about their personality in regards to astrology, they think it's all hogwash.
Absolutely.
Or that's just never how they're going to be.
Yeah.
The fate versus free will conversation again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think that means that we can't have a little fun. And like, I've shared many of funny astrology reels around town because some are just like too good. Like they bring it down to like a funny essence in some way, shape, or form. But it's a rich field. I mean, there's a lot to know. And I'm probably like 10 years in, and I'm very aware of the fact that there's probably 30 more years of learning that I could do if, it's really a matter of how deep and wide you want to go with it. It's a very rich field.
I did not know how rich it was because I started getting into astrology in high school. I bought that purple book, like everything you need to know about astrology kind of thing. And it was great, but it had real basic things. It was always about the sun sign. It was always about relationships or just some regular generic things.
Yes.
But then you learn about life path and you learn about the North Node and the South Node and like all these different things to consider and look at. It's very nuanced, but it's also interwoven. It's very complicated.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's so unique, like a fingerprint. All of our signs
Truly.
and planets it's so unique to us, where we were on the planet, what time you were born.
Yeah.
All of that stuff.
Absolutely. So I do think for anyone who feels like they haven't resonated, chances are they haven't gotten to consider all the levels, right? Because even if you just play with the 12 planets, which there are like asteroids and there's like endless amounts of planetary bodies, but there's a lot to learn just even in those planets. And then in transpersonal astrology, a big emphasis is put on Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto, which often astrologers don't put emphasis on those because they're more generational. But
Right, because the cycles last so long.
they last so long, but they're really like where the metaphysics comes in, where we're no longer talking about the earth things, the material reality, money, career, health, relationships, but where we're talking about like purpose, like what am I here for and what am I here to learn and what am I here to experience in this life, and that it's beautifully expansive possibilities in that for sure.
Yeah. I have a question that's been coming through. If it's okay to ask.
Yeah.
This is up for both of you guys to feel into, and something that I've been kind of curious about. I have a bit of a working theory. but I've been curious for a long time how much of astrology and the chart is an expression of like the human experience versus the soul experience. Because it kind of seems like there's like a difference between Western and
interesting.
Eastern astrology, where the impression I've gotten from like Vedic astrology in particular, that to me feels more like a soul blueprint, but Western astrology feels like it's more a this life human blueprint. So, question to both of you guys, how much of like Western astrology do you feel like is a blueprint for the soul versus or for like the ego human life we're living right now?
I mean, I do think the outer planets are probably the answer to that question. I
Okay.
think most of astrology that you're talking about is about that human experience. But then there also is that like chop wood, carry water before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water after enlightenment, where knowing your greater life purpose probably doesn't change your life. Like you're still going to do the things that you're meant to do in this world. It's just like the way you're going to do them. It's going to be wildly different because you're going to be embracing it and living it and being all in on it. And there's a magic to that. And so you can bring that magic, I think, into like every mundane task that exists in the world. But I do think the outer planets are playing more directly with your soul's lessons than with the Sun through Saturn. Sun through Saturn, I think, are qualitatively different than the outer planets. But what comes up for you on that question?
Oh, outside my scope of practice for sure. You, Maggie, actually introduced me to the Vedic astrology last year, and I was like, what is this? There's a whole other system? Seriously, I'm a total noob into this.
Me too.
I
know very
delight.
little about
I've
it.
had a couple of readings
Yeah.
where I've had people read my chart, and it's just consistent across the board, and I do resonate with a lot of it. But I don't know enough about the Vedic. I'm curious and I'm open to learn for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But I like what you're saying about Sun through Saturn being this human experience in this life and the outer planets being more ancestral or generational.
Yes.
Like as a generation, we're bringing this about.
Absolutely.
That makes sense to me.
What are the inner planets, Sun through Saturn, that's Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, and Saturn? Are those the inner ones?
And Mars and Jupiter and Saturn.
Yes.
Mars and Jupiter are included?
Because
Okay.
Saturn's on the outside of Jupiter.
Okay. I'm a little embarrassed now.
You got it. No,
I'm
you
like
got the list.
elementary I'm going based off of my knowledge of astrology and not of literally the layout
planets?
of the physical
The solar
planets that
system?
exist. The fucking solar system, yeah. So sorry.
All good.
Okay. But okay, thank you for the clarification. I need to brush up on the solar system, apparently.
Yeah, it's the Pluto, Uranus, Neptune.
Okay.
Hey everyone, it's Nikki here. Really hope you're enjoying the episode so far. Maggie and I wanted to take a moment to express to you how grateful we are for all of you who choose to spend your time with us. And for all the engagement on all of the platforms that you currently listen from. It helps not only spread the conversations of light and normalizing healing conversations, but it also is a really nice reminder that what we're doing here is resonating with you and being of service to the collective whole. And that's such a magnificent gift. And I just really wanted to say thank you. We also wanted to share that if any of you are called to further support our podcast in a more personal way, you can do so by becoming a member of our Patreon community. We have several monthly tiers that you can choose from on a donation base. It gives you access to exclusive content, like one of my special monthly guided meditations. These proceeds do directly fund the cost and the time and the energy it takes to continue creating and sharing this podcast. So it would be a great, great help for our little 2-person DIY production here. And also, a big, big thanks to all of our existing and future patrons. Your support means the world. So if you'd really like to join our community, and we really would like that, you can find the link in all of our description boxes and the homepages of wherever you're listening from. Or you can go directly to patreon.com/NTHP podcast, all lowercase. All right. Hey, thanks for your time. Back to the episode.
Neptune is the interconnectedness, like the fact that we are like all together. It's like unconditional love. Uranus is the individuality, like being truly who you are. So you'll go through a Uranus return, like around my age, like 44. And that's where like being true to yourself becomes like very real. Like you just feel like you must have some form of independence. But it is interesting because Neptune says we're all connected. So it is like, in a sense, you use the connectivity to make your being an individual more important, because you knowing who you are and what you want to bring is incredibly important to the collective. Mm-hmm. So it's not one or the other. You know, it's easy to think like it's either I'm do everything for everyone and I'm constantly of service and who I am doesn't matter, but it is that interplay. And then Pluto is transformation, like the life-death experience, like the constant renewal that we always experience, the having to dredge up all the you know, dark side to be able to see like, oh, like this just is energy that needs to transmute. It's not, you know, there's nothing to be scared. There is no dark side in a sense, like it all is just stuff that needs to like be brought to the surface and worked out and, you know, energetically released ultimately. But I do think, again, you can see these collective movements like we can see in the world, like the need to recognize negative patterns and in order to realize that we want to choose against them. And then that's the same with us, right? That we need to recognize our negative patterns to decide if we want to choose against them. But so it works for both. It really is a collective individual game that is both being played as above, so below.
Mm-hmm. It makes me wonder if you said the Uranus return around age 44, and back to the individual and being authentic, it makes me want to correlate that with that midlife crisis. We hear so much about of people in their late 30s or early, really it's about the 40s.
Yeah.
When you buy the Mustang that you always wanted, you know, you quit your job, you leave your family, like, but it was like, but if worst case scenario is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But, or just that feeling of needing to be authentic to yourself or live the life that you've really wanted and didn't compromise.
Yes.
Or you're no longer willing to compromise.
Yeah.
Or shut yourself down.
Yeah.
And so you have all these times where people act out a little bit, go a little extreme with these big changes.
And Uranus is a shocker. Like it's like where crazy things, like when we're having a Uranus transit, we can see like big events happen. So from that perspective, astrology can share some like, it's like maybe you won't know exactly what will happen, but you'll know, oh, like this is a tipping point or like something big is going on here.
Right, like a broad thematic kind of pointer.
Exactly. And same thing, individual. It's just that shock isn't always external, you know? It can be an internal shock of like, the system just says, I must do this differently. Like I cannot handle it for a second longer. But normally when there's a sharp like need that arises in those ages, it's that Uranus. And then again, Neptune like then kind of settles you back to the other side of like, but wait a minute, it's not only about me, it's about us, you know, and it's about how we affect each other. So there is that natural balance that you can find innately. But part of why I think astrology is so important is that we don't really have a collective way to talk about these things. We don't, since religion is very scattered now, you know, different models of healing there's so many different, it's like, how do we talk about shared values? Like, how do we talk about what is our ebbs and flows of life. Like, how can we discuss them in a way that has some basis of understanding? And I think that astrology is, even though it is like entertainment value and whatnot, that it is bubbling up to the surface because people see that there is some value in it. There is some relatability in it, like whether or not they know how deep and how far it can go. Like they're feeling something, like they're feeling drawn to it in this day and age. Like your generation is all about it, and it's like there's not that like distrust, it's kind of like, oh yeah, I see it's true.
Yeah, I don't know, I feel like there doesn't seem to be like a lot of serious attitudes about it. True. With my generation.
It's like more fun. Yeah.
And I am also on
but
the
it's
older
popular right now, like
it
beyond.
Is very popular. Yeah. I am also in that weird cusp of Gen Z and millennial.
Okay.
So I feel like I don't quite like resonate with the youths. The Gen Z. I'm still young enough to where I know that I am also the youth. Although what's the cutoff for that? I'm 26.
I have no idea.
I have no idea either.
Okay. I'm honestly, my goal though is to be like chronically offline and like off the grid. I don't.
You can't label me generationally.
Yeah. Anywho, but yeah, I know it has become very popular, but I think with being close to this generation and with social media, that's where I do really see people kind of weaponizing it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like a lot of people are using it in that integral self-awareness kind of way. Which that's where I see the value personally.
Yeah, me
if you're
too.
having fun with it and it's entertaining you, you get to have fun conversations with your friends. That's awesome. Yeah. But I also see a lot of like, oh my God, you're a Scorpio. I literally can't talk to you anymore. Yeah. And that is wild to me.
Really? Yeah.
There seems to be like a lot of that in at least the social media sphere, which is really unfortunate because then it's just it's just giving people weapons and judgment. Yeah.
That's useless, right?
And attaching to identity.
Right.
Yeah.
And throwing it on others. Which that makes me sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I do think like I do some social media work for that Luna astrology. Mm-hmm. So I see both because, the algorithm that I'm being fed is pure astrology on that account. Mm-hmm. But I see both. I see some people using it to like, definitely reductive, definitely trying to like label people. Yeah, I hear a lot of, people are mean to Scorpios and to Capricorns and like they're harsh on those signs for whatever reason.
Totally.
What's wrong with Capricorn?
I know, we love
and Geminis. And
I love a Scorpio. I love Scorpios.
People vehemently hate Geminis.
Really?
Yeah.
I love the Geminis.
They're fantastic.
I love them.
I have like a lot of Virgo in my chart, so a lot of mercurial energy, and from what I know, Gemini is also the other mercurial sign.
Yeah.
So my Gemini friends, we have the best conversations.
Yeah. Well, I do think that that's just like humans don't know how to like appreciate differences very well.
Right. Yeah. It's like xenophobia, but for astrology signs.
Totally.
You're afraid of other cultures. You're afraid of other signs. Like, look, the Scorpios have their really great parts. Like, am I a little weary around them? I'm just going to have a good boundary and not try to piss them off because unless I need to, and then I can see their strength and like how they can be so communicative and like their feelings.
Incredibly loyal.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. One of their positive aspects.
Well, if you think about it, so really astrology or a natal chart is looking at the exact placement of the planets when you were born, right? So, and if you look at that and then you are now being affected by transits from that point forward, you are not the same. Like you're not going to be the same as you were when you were 10, when you were 20, when you were 30, when you were 40. And it's way more granular than that in all these cycles that you've been experiencing, whether you're conscious of them being astrological cycles or not. You went through these things, right? You went through these ups and downs of life. So you've had the experiences without the language. So that means you're constantly changing and constantly breathing new life into these archetypes. And so then why would it be different from another? Like that means every other sign, there is no one type of Scorpio. There is no one type of Capricorn. We can draw correlations, you know what I mean? I think that because there's like some energetic similarities. It's so easy to be like, oh, you're like this and you're like that.
Right.
Aries is this.
I'll put you in this pigeonhole.
Yeah, it's so easy. But if you're like, okay, if I want people to remember that I'm new every day, then I have to meet every other sign as though I don't know this yet. This is a brand new person with a brand new set of signs. It's not one thing. Can never be looked at as one thing. I think even when you look at a whole chart, you're probably not going to even be able to interpret that whole chart in like one setting. You'll probably be able to hone in on 2 or 3 things in one setting.
Yeah. It's going to take me the rest of my life to understand my chart.
Yeah.
There's so much to it.
And it should, right? Because at different moments, different things matter to you. Like you're going to have different experiences that make you hone in on that aspect of your chart. And then later a different experience may highlight something that you're like, oh, I didn't even know this was here. This feels really new to me, even though I saw it there and I saw, oh yeah, I'm this and this, but it didn't mean what it means to me now, like given all my experiences with those transits. And
totally.
Yeah. So it's just a very alive thing. I think it has to be considered to be archetypal and something that we can add to it. We can add those meanings as we go and share them with each other.
Like makes me feel like progress and movement, because all right, we take a snapshot when we're born. This is our chart. When we were born, when we were new, this is what we came in here for. This is where all the placements were. And then we keep reevaluating like every 10 years or however long. But just like how the planets are still the planets.
Yeah.
Right? They're still orbiting the sun, still in their orbit range.
Yes.
But as a galaxy, as a solar system, we're moving through space. And things are constantly changing and evolving. And stars are bursting and dying. And then there's stars being born. So it's kind of reflective like that, where we're not fixed.
Yeah.
We constantly are taking in new information or going with the tide that comes in and moves us a little bit down the way. Hit that solar flare, and just how it affects you. So I look at astrology as information, as something to consider with a lightheartedness, without expectation or absolution. It is just up for consideration.
Yeah.
Because you hear a lot now in the sphere of conversations about Mercury retrograde.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's totally been grabbed and thrown into the mainstream.
And like, and they're like, well, I'm not going to. All of this stuff is happening. And I just started to pay attention to some things. Now, I'm not so gung-ho, well, like, I won't make big decisions during this time. Because if I need to make a decision, I'm going to do it. But you're also not everybody is affected the same way at some of these placements or retrogrades or showing or whatever the language is.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of noticing how you feel. Because I've also learned that sometimes you can feel the change coming if you're really sensitive weeks ahead of time. So you're doing the work weeks ahead of time that everybody else is going to do later. But then that's helpful because then you're there to give some perspective, to give some support, and helping them like, oh man, I just went through that. What would you like to do? Here's what helped me. Yeah. It's just information.
Yeah. And even in that, right? Well, I was always taught, don't feel like you can't. Like if it's Mercury retrograde and something brand new is happening and you may not have all the information to assess it yet, maybe don't sign the contract, because so much is happening mentally and you're reflecting on so much at the time that it may not be the best time to do that because you've got a lot of considerations going on. But if you've been working on something with people and you already know your path is good and okay, now it's come time to sign the contract, you're going to sign the contract, because otherwise that would be ridiculous in the flow of life to just be like, oh, sorry, we've got this thing coming up and I can't do that now. It's like, no,
I can't see the planet.
We've been working on this for 3 months. Like, of course you're going to sign it.
Yeah.
And it is maybe a culmination, but all of those things, every retrograde, there's so much more to it. And it actually is a really reflective, important time that helps you review like whatever every cycle is connected. So people always think of it as like beginning and ending, like, oh, Mercury went retrograde, now it ended. But each one is strung together, and
We have that with the moon.
every one of them connects. Like there's no single
Monthly.
retrograde. Yeah. And the moon, I've tracked the moon cycles, and you can feel them. You feel them. Everyone else feels them too. They just don't label it that, because all of a sudden that week when it's the first quarter square and you're supposed to take care of everything, all my clients are calling me and saying, I want to do this. Let's take care of this, so the energy's there. It's just I kind of like, okay, this is that moment.
Tell the nurses in the OB that women don't have birth, that they don't give birth more on a full moon.
Yeah.
There really
they
is
don't
something
believe
to
it.
that.
They
No
experience it
explanation.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Time.
Brings
it's the
it out.
culmination.
It is.
Yeah. But then those retrogrades do happen. You have to look at your chart and that chart, and then look at it together, because it'll depend what house it's taking place in your chart. And that will affect how much or how little you feel it. Sometimes that transit is directly connected to your personal planets. Like if there's a Mercury retrograde going retrograde on your sun, you're going to feel that a lot. Like that's, or directly on your Mercury, you're going to feel that a lot. But if there's no like direct correlation, you may not feel that one as much. Maybe it will just be tech is a little bit wonky during that time, which does happen. I do experience that. So
Yep.
Like, why are all my phone calls dropping?
During a Mercury retrograde, we were recording an episode for the podcast. Turns out it didn't record the whole time, the whole conversation during a retrograde.
So it happens.
Yep,
It happens.
Indeed, it does.
It does.
But yeah, I like how you guys both explain that. And I think for me, it makes a lot more sense intuitively to look at whether it's a Mercury retrograde happening or any other retrograde or just any sort of transit, like you said, using it as a time of review, like taking these things and just asking the question to tap into your body, like, oh, how am I feeling right now? And you can kind of like look at a particular transit and get the vibe or like what the theme is, but then using that to just be like, how am I feeling? How do I want to work through what's showing up for me?
Right.
Like all of this is a really great way to just stop, to tune into your body, to tune into what you're feeling and what you're thinking. And it can be really validating to see like, oh, maybe this is something that is just a collective energy right now.
Yes.
And it can help you sort through what you're feeling, what you're going through, and to feel more supported and validated and to have a deeper understanding of what's going on, and then to have that greater understanding of what's going on within you.
Absolutely. Yeah, very well said. I completely agree.
Thanks.
I think it really is that, like it's so easy in our Western world for people to always want progress, right? You always like want achievement, want to be able to do things, want to be able to like cash in, want to be able to say, okay, I did X, Y, Z, I checked these boxes. But, there's so much value to taking yourself off that and saying, wait a minute, like, because otherwise you're just going, but like, where are you going?
Right.
Like, which direction are you going and why? Yeah, what are we doing
Why
here?
we feel like I got lost. Where am I now?
And it's true. Like I felt that before, where you're just like running and you're like, wait a minute, like,
For sure.
is this the direction I even want to go in? Like I need to think,
Yeah.
And yeah, Mercury retrograde can be, when you have one that hits you strongly, it can produce that skipping record. Like you'll hear in your own head that again and again and again, like the same thing again and again, like, and that gives you a sign that, hey, I need to look at this, Like there's something really important to review here, or I am unsettled when it comes to X, Y, and Z. I haven't. And chances are, like if it's something that's a long-term issue, it's happened before in Mercury retrogrades where it came up then and it came up again, and then now it's coming up again. And that means, there's something to look at here. And again, no fault, like no blame, no fault. Like It's just a natural thing. It's actually asking you to look at something, and it's a positive, really.
I like using astrology and just a lot of these metaphysical divination type things as explanation, or I like to help you see it, not excuse.
Yeah.
Like we're not using it to excuse behavior or
Right.
not show
Yes.
up or to be like,
Absolutely.
no, this is just part of my sign, because people get so fixed,
Yeah.
on things. But it's not meant to be that way. It's just, to me, it's a light. It's a
Yes.
data point.
Yes.
It's an idea or a concept that is asking to be looked at.
Yes.
Just it's
Exactly.
there to help support
Yeah.
and not live your life by. Because
Yeah.
I remember being told early on by a tarot reader who was reading my birth chart, and I was asking like, how, like, is this real, like the whole premonition thing, or like the predictive,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
right, the predictive nature of it.
Yeah.
She told me then, she goes, listen, this is a snapshot of right here, right now, in this moment. If you changed nothing, this is a likely outcome. It is easier, though, to create your future than to predict it. So these things should be empowering.
Yes.
If you have some challenges in front of you that you're facing and here's a potential outcome, that's if you don't change anything. But if you grow and you learn your lessons, you can transmute that outcome into something that's a better path for you, or more in
Absolutely.
alignment.
Yes.
So again, it's a support system. It's not the foundation of your life. It's there to help you move through it, to help explain, okay, that's why I feel really wonky today, because this thing was happening astrologically.
Right.
And I'm very sensitive to energies and all of that. And I know a lot of other people are, but there are also people who are not, who
Yeah.
don't understand, who can't connect to this because that's just not how their system is set up right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that's my 2 cents on that.
I completely agree with that.
Me too.
I think I think planets and signs have that built in where, so if you're looking at a sign like Libra, like we mentioned Libra does care a lot about others' experience. They really want fairness. But that can mean you live your life trying to make the other happy, and that you're overly concerned with whether or not the other is happy when you're in the room together. And then if they're not happy, you feel a little uncomfortable. And then you're trying to do things to try to make them feel better. But like built into the concept is that you also have the gift to learn how to be at ease with other. Because if you work with that energy, because you see it and you're able to use it as a data point to work with, then you can go, okay, like I'm coming from a good place where I want us to all like be in a good space. But do I have control over the other? No, I don't. Therefore, all I can do is work to be at ease with myself. And you'd be surprised, by being at ease with yourself creates ease with the other.
Uh-huh.
So then it's like it's built in. But if you don't have like this language to kind of play with the two sides of it, it might be a bit of a miss, because there could be, it's like your gifts are right there. The what to work with and what to play with and what to learn from is there. It's just like not letting it be reductive and saying, okay, well, what's the other side of the coin of this? Like, I may experience anxiety because of this, but oh, that means I also have the ability to reach the other side of it more than another may, because that's my thing to work on. That's my thing to play with.
Right. Taking it as personal knowledge and using it as a tool of accountability and a chance to grow
Yeah.
yourself.
And like get a little distance, where it's not just me. It's not like
Right.
me, I'm doing this, but it's like, oh, like that's a tendency for this whole thing. So
Right.
then I don't need to be identified with it. I don't need to blame myself for having it. It's just it's just part of the game.
Yeah. It is also
Yeah.
a really good tool for, like you just said, that detachment
Yeah.
from yourself a little bit, to give yourself a little bit of space, to give yourself a little bit of compassion and be like, oh, maybe this is an overarching pattern. Like maybe I am not inherently wrong.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Or that it's a two sides of every coin, right?
Right.
Like, yeah, somebody who doesn't have any Libra may never think about what the other's feeling at all. Do you know what I mean? So like you may actually And most of us who are Libra like want that, like who want to be able to connect with others. So it's a gift, not a curse.
I like the astrology as a way of getting to look at yourself, because especially if you're used to having other people tell you who you are, and you're on this path now of self-discovery and knowing who you are without that, then you can read these strengths that come with these signs, or that's on your chart or in this reading that you're getting. And if you feel like you don't have that strength, you can ask yourself questions about it, like, well, when have I?
Yeah.
And you can use it as a self-reflection tool to just kind of take some stock, and put everybody else's words out of your mind and really reflect back on you.
Yeah.
And ask yourself those questions.
And to play with something that you're like fully in self-discovery, reading different books, like trying to synthesize massive amounts of information into like understanding yourself.
Yeah.
It's like you're studying yourself, you're
which is a
making
worthy
yourself a project. Yeah.
journey. It's a worthy endeavor.
It is a worthy journey.
To get to know yourself.
That's what this whole podcast is
about. Charts too, but yeah. You're right. And then looking at the charts of others. And then the fact that...
that's so much fun.
Yeah, it's
Once
awesome.
you get into it, you get all of your friends' birthdays, and then you're all comparing.
I am that friend.
Yeah.
Yes, you are one of them.
Exactly. I know. I haven't seen your chart. I don't think I've seen your chart.
Can we talk about it after this?
Yeah.
Okay. I would love to share my chart and get your insights.
I'd love to.
I'm so fascinated by just this whole topic. Astrology is so cool.
It really is. It really is. I think it's meaningful. Like, I feel like it has more meaning than we give it credit for sure. But I think there's a lot to it. It really is rich.
It is. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, all right. So this episode, we are at about an hour now. So we'll probably begin wrapping up. But I've loved all the information that's been shared today. We could talk about this for literally hours. Nikki and I say this all the time. We're like, we can just sit and talk. And we do. And that's why we started this podcast.
Facts.
Yeah, or part of why. But yeah, as we're closing, I guess I just want to ask the final broad question of, if you had something, just like a message to someone who maybe doesn't know anything about astrology, is just dipping their feet into the shallow end of it, or isn't into it like at all, to people that want to just kind of close their eyes and be like, that's a whole bunch of horse shit, I don't feel like paying attention to it. I guess, yeah, with the information that you have and all of the experience from your journey, what is a message that you would want to share to those people about the importance, or like the core of astrology and the value that it holds?
I mean, honestly, one of my first thoughts was like, it's okay. They don't have to use it. I do think everyone has their own nature and what they're drawn towards. I do think, though, that it is a powerful way to understand yourself and to understand others. Yet it is like learning a brand new language. We don't understand these symbols innately. There is a lot of research required, and a lot is required to make it your own, and so that it isn't just something that's from a book that you're just repeating. Because I do think it pays to make it alive for yourself. Otherwise, it's not going to have the value that it would if it's just something that you're reading in a book. Honestly, I think it comes up for people when there's a question or a need, maybe a crisis even that's happening, where there's some kind of like need to understand what's happening, why is it happening, where am I, what's going on in my life. And then I think that's probably a really good moment to take a look, because chances are you haven't really given yourself the time to understand through this lens, at least. I don't know of any other tool. I mean, I'm a big supporter of all forms of therapy, all forms of,
Same.
All types. There's so many things that you can do. So I do think go according to your nature. If it's truly not in your nature, it's okay. But chances are that it goes deeper and more granular than most things I've ever seen out there when it comes to understanding ourselves and others. So if those struggles are kind of like, I've done all the things, I've checked all the boxes of success, I've done all the things that I thought I should do, and I still don't feel connected, like something's not working for me, then it might be a moment to take a look and to see what you can learn. But I'd say go in it open-minded, like go in it where you're not trying to say this is right or wrong, this is good or bad. Like it's never going to be, it is a model. The map is not the territory. Like it's meant for you to weigh in on it, you to experience it. Follow the moon cycles. I feel like that's one easy way if you just kind of want to dip a toe in and you want to play with it. Do journaling around moon cycles. Do it for the fourfold moon cycle, like the new moon, first quarter square, full moon, third quarter square. Just even paying attention to those 4 points, what sign it's in, where is it in your chart. Even just gathering those points and like journaling about it, you'll see something to it. And then the way that I like, because my sister was really into astrology. My sister's really into like all types of metaphysical stuff. But when she had me read my Venus and my Mars, the definitions of my Venus and Mars, because sun sign can be so general. We kind of get it. Like we know what they mean. We hear it a lot.
The core
but
ego
Venus
personality.
and Mars is like, Venus is like your values, your the principles of attraction, and what you want and what you don't want. Like that's Venus. Mars is how you go after what you want. I think that when you read those in your charts, like there's something about it that feels like too crazy for it to not be you, you know? You have to go a little more granular beyond the sun sign before you start to say, okay, like how can this combination of things all show up here? Like I remember that the words I heard in my mind were like, I've never told anybody about this, you know? Like how can anybody know that this would be what would show up in my Venus and Mars, and that it was so on point and so real that I just felt like, okay, I believe. And then from that point on, it created enough curiosity to go deeper and to learn. But I think for most people, there is that moment where there is either a crisis or a need to understand, and then some information through astrology is just too on point to ignore.
Right.
And then that kind of just unleashes the interest enough to just dive in and learn. But, like I feel like if that doesn't come up for you and some other forms do, cool. Like that's just play, learn. Yeah.
It's true. Yeah. I love all of that. Thank you.
Indeed. That was great.
Yeah. And that also very much resonated with my own journey of it. It was like, I started hearing about it and I was like, what is this? Like around the pandemic, and I had a lot of time to myself and I was just beginning my meditation journey, and it popped up and I was like, okay. And as soon as I started reading into those deeper placements, I'm like, I've never told anyone this. This is totally a pattern that I haven't like consciously put 2 and 2 together. But oh my God, this is so me that it's like, even if it's a bunch of BS, I feel like I am learning more about myself and growing more self-compassion and looking out more for patterns and being able to detach from so many things. And for me, it's been an incredibly helpful and beautiful tool of self-awareness and introspection. So
absolutely.
It was so nice to have you on today. Thank you,
so
Olivia,
much.
for joining us.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
A great conversation. I've really enjoyed your energy and being here and sharing everything that you shared.
Thank you. Same here. I appreciate it. Amazing.
Is there anything that you wanted to share? Anything you wanted to plug? I don't know, socials or anything like that?
I will always plug lunaastrology.com. It's like astrology software for the modern user who doesn't want like clunky desktop astrology software. It's online. It's definitely for the person who wants to go a little deeper. Like it's not your like, let me just go get interpretations, but it's like when you want your own way to do charts, like it's a cool thing. It's like your little hub, your astrology hub. And then shareastrology.com. Like I do love the book, The Astrology as a Spiritual Path. I think it's brilliant. And yeah, it describes the entire history of astrology, the Carl Jung part, the Dane Rudyard, and just like how to use it as a spiritual path, and how that is a path that's never the same for two people. You know,
Right.
it's uniquely yours, and it has all the twists and turns, but yet some archetypal building blocks are the same. So it sometimes helps to see like another's journey and how they used it to, you know, be more spiritual, be more connected, participate in the world a little bit more.
Yeah. As within, so without.
I love this. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Hope something resonated.
Definitely. Or just curiosity was piqued. Yeah, inspired.
So yeah, thank you so much. Always a pleasure. If you are interested in joining us in a couple of weeks for our next episode, we are going to be diving into oracle cards and tarot.
Yes, more woo-woo.
So much fun.
So much fun.
I'm so excited. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to be a good time.
It is going to be a good time. And if you are looking for more content from us in the meantime, you can head over to our Patreon page. Link will be in the description below. We have some special guided meditations and extra fun conversations over there. But yeah, okay. Until next time, be well.
Be well, be curious.
Have fun. Play.
Yeah.